Hello, welcome to my channel. You're on Eva J's Mystical Messages, and I'm here for the daily meditation. I am on day number 4 of Into the Meadow, and before I start, I'm going to pull a card from the Oracle of Mystical Moments deck. I really love this deck. I did a reading with it a few days ago with the meditation, and I liked it so much I thought I would. Spirit has kind of called me to do it again, to pull in a card and see what comes up. So I'm going to shuffle the cards. I'm going to give them a good shuffle here. So you can see that I'm actually shuffling these babies, and we'll see what comes up here in relation to today's meditation. Okay, this card just flipped out. And the card is, let me turn the thing around here. The card is called Night Ride, and it has an elephant and a couple of owls sitting on top of it. To me, that sort of symbolizes the notion of having someone there to carry you through when things get dark and not very kind or what have you. I like the stars in the depiction of nighttime, where it's not totally black, but it's gray and has grayscale on it, and a little bit of sun, like light from the stars casting a light around the elephant and the owls. So in the owls, you can see that one owl is protecting the other from whatever elements might be coming up. And that seems to be, to me, it seems to symbolize spirit giving us a ride and us protecting one another during the times when things get a little bit more challenging. So that is the card for today. Let me turn around here. See me again. Okay, and so that is the card. I really love this deck. It's a nice deck of oracle cards, and they're very nice. I mean, the artwork is just beautiful. And I will put in the description box, I will put the information about the cards so that you can get yourself a deck if you do so desire. So I'm going to start with day number 4. Today's March 16th, 2025. And once I get the video done, I have to, we're going to a craft bazaar. I'm going to get some crafting stuff. So that'll be very cool. So I wrote this morning, I woke up thinking about a dream I had. I went back to sleep, and now I can't remember the dream at all. And Sunshine says, dreams are fun, but sometimes they merely are what they are. Fantastical images and ideas. I said, Metatron said that some dreams and images are past or the future. And Sunshine said, true, but you have to admit that when you have a dream and later can't remember it, you shouldn't worry about it. The dream is what it is. I said, okay, so yesterday I was told that I could try calling others who might want to talk to me. But when I am in this state as I am right now, I don't always feel as though I am in my Akashic records. I feel as though I'm here. Can you help me, or do I need to do anything to be in that frame of mind? And Sunshine says, in your mind, you already are accessing your Akashic records. You do not have to do anything clever except that you are already there. Taking a step to access them is like when you see the meadow in your mind's eye. When you sense that the meadow, I can't read my own handwriting, is there, then you have stepped into that state of mind. That's what happens when you write. When you start, sometimes you would look at the clock on the wall and it would say a time. You would sit down and start, no longer thinking of what time it is, but instead that you just simply wanted to start writing. When you later put your pencil down, you would look at the clock and then think, oh, an hour or an hour and a half has passed. I said, yes, it's rather astonishing to think that the time has just flown by. And Sunshine says, you are during that time in your records. The time does go by as normal, but because of the depth of our conversations, you feel as though the time has passed by quickly. I said, it's like when I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning and 6 hours is gone. But when I do this, it feels as though I'm almost in a awakened dream. And Sunshine says, yes, that is how it works. Ramon could give you the ins and outs of the logic of this, but I think you would get the ideas behind it anyway. Your mind slows as you do this. It's like watching your favorite movie, favorite movie, one you know the plot to and by heart, and just want to simply see the events play out. It is rather the same when you dream. I said, okay, can we talk about dreams a little? I have several that have stayed with me. So why did they stay and stand out in my mind? And Sunshine says, because they were real as you sitting here. When you were 20 years old, the most vivid dream you ever had was about the aliens who visited you. I said, yes, I mentioned it when I was interviewed on another channel. But there was a notion that it was a dream. Couldn't it have been more than a dream? And Sunshine says, sure, it could have. The dream about the experience with aliens, you have always believed that there were aliens out there. You have read several books about them, and your fascination with them has always been present. I said, yes, but there was a part of me that wanted to meet an alien to understand the notion that there are those out there who have a better understanding of universal truths than I do. And Sunshine says, yes, but you yourself have a good understanding of things. The truth is, you have always had a deeper understanding. Even as a little girl, you understood this. It is why you were able to see Nigel when he appeared to you. As a child, you also knew that if you told anyone in your family about seeing him, that you would have been ostracized. Where did the wisdom come from? You were only 5 years old. I said, I don't know. Nigel couldn't say it. The notion simply came to me. It's like an unspoken truth. And Sunshine says, yes. But that did come from the voice inside of you, from your guides. You have always felt an awareness of us. It was what protected you when you were a bit older. I said, I just had the image of the drunk driver that nearly hit me. I was about 11 or 12 years old. And Sunshine says, that was a very trauma-inducing event in your life. You were literally frozen to the ground when the car came towards you. Do you know that when you saw it drive into the ditch, that it was your team protecting you? When your mother later asked why you didn't run, you told her you didn't know. I said, can you explain to me why this happened? Sunshine says, okay. For starters, we knew that if you had run, you would have been hit. You were so stiffly planted to the ground, but you were also aware of the same thing. Do you remember how you felt at that moment? I said, yes, I could not have moved even if I wanted to. At the end of the street, I could see the car. It was weaving from one side to the other, and it was coming quickly towards me. It was clearly someone who was drunk. It was about 7 a.m. The dawn had broke, and I was on the opposite side of the street from where I lived. When the car went into the ditch, I suddenly felt like the water coming from the water hose. I immediately screamed and ran across the street to our home. Even after that, I remember having stomach issues, the cramping. The school nurse sent me home. And Sunshine says, you really knew what happened that day. You never really knew what happened that day. You never forgot that you came close to being hit by a drunk driver. Do you know what happened to the driver after he drove out into the ditch? No, I never thought to ask. In fact, after that happened, my mother got angry because I had distracted her from her work. She made me go to school that day. Sunshine said it was denial. She did not want to think that something like that could have happened to her child. Remember, people who suffer from narcissism don't always think about other people. They think about how that will affect them themselves. This is what happened with the dress and your 8th grade dance. I said, oh God, that was a nightmare. I was teased and tormented in junior high. I often wondered why, but I went to the dance in a normal school dress. I had told my family that the girls were dressing up, but they didn't believe me, so I ended up going to school and sticking out like a sore thumb. And Sunshine said, "You hated that. The dress could not fully be enjoyed because you saw everyone in formal attire and you were in the simple dress." I said, "The irony was that I wasn't allowed to date until I was 16, and yet I was 13 or 14 when that dance happened. I think that there were 3 dance events in junior high, a 7th grade dance and then 2 8th grade dances. If parents were not letting kids date, then what's the point of 12-year-olds going to a dance?" Sunshine said, "Not all parents were like your mother." I said, "I guess not. Can we talk about something else? This was really not a happy time in my life. It was actually the worst 3 years of my life." Sunshine said, "Okay, yes, but what did you learn during those years? I mean, you did learn something beyond English and arithmetic." I said, "I learned that I loved the afternoon English class when I could sit and read. When I had to go to detention after school that one time, I read the whole time. I remember just loving books. I think books were a great way for me to escape into another world. I think it's like the Sweet Valley High books I read when I was a teenager. They gave me an escape from school where I was being teased." And Sunshine said, "They made life seem more bearable. The things you read were a way of the experiences. That is going to surprise you a bit, but reading those books later enhanced your fantasy and storytelling capabilities. As you got older, you began to write stories. These enabled you to not only develop as a writer, but also enhanced your abilities to tell stories. When you started sharing your stories and received a mediocre response, it reminded you of how you are not popular in school. The response to these things you had done have always been that way. The lesson is how to take it. Do you stop and try something new, or do you just stick with it and allow yourself to get some grounding?" I said, "Maybe, but I think that is why I always watched Fred Rogers' show. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood just seemed like the sort of place I wanted to live in, but the show was fantasy." Sunshine says, "Not in the ways that mattered. You understood the need for a kind place, a place that was filled with understanding. If Mr. Rogers could accept a child who was different, then he could accept you. It was what propelled you to write to him in the first place. If you could find the acceptance from someone like him, then you would conclude that you were actually all right." I said, "I feel him here. Mr. Rogers, are you here?" And he says, "Yes, I am. You felt right, Yvette." I said, "Can I ask you a question?" And he says, "Of course you can. It was the same in our letters. You wrote to me with stories and questions, but now you can ask me anything you like." And I said, "Well, my first question is, are you happy there?" And he says, "Yes, I am. I'm happy where I am, but I see what's going on in the world, and that makes me sad." I said, "It is antithetical to everything that you taught me as a child." And he says, "Indeed. But there is always hope, Yvette. The hope is that they're kind and good people who are recognizing that love and compassion are far more significant than simply sitting in a corner and weeping. You have the courage and capability inside. What you are doing is contending with the things that are going on around you in the best way you can. Your spirit is raised by talking to Sunshine and your guides. Your level of understanding or acceptance is growing, and as each time we speak. Do you know why you wept the first time we spoke?" I said, "I think so, but it was more or less overwhelming." And he says, "You wept because you felt that you did not deserve to receive the message that you were given. You have always believed in spiritual things, but you believed deep down inside that you were not deserving of these things. I will tell you that you did deserve these letters just the same as you deserve to speak to Jimmy Carter or anyone else who would be willing to speak to you. You can also speak to Peter Tork if you would like. As your friend Deborah said, you can speak to anyone. Your guides and angels will assure you that this is a safe place. There is no neighborhood of make-believe. It is a neighborhood of complete love and acceptance. Your experiences as a child were indeed sad, but you did overcome them. You always believed that life would get better, and it did. You met your husband and started a life in Germany. I was so happy when I heard back from you after that brief absence. You had moved to a place where you were happy. I always got the sense that you were not happy in Texas. You had so many things to contend with. Now go and attend to your husband. We can speak again. You are now in a place where you can. I said, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming and talking to me. He says, if you need, and Fred Rogers says, if you need to talk to me again, you can call on me anytime. I'm always here for you. Sunshine says, you see, Yvette, you called him and he came to you. You can do this anytime you like. If someone doesn't wish to speak to you, then they won't. I said, again, the time has flown by. My husband just said that it's 9 a.m. I guess I should go, and part of me doesn't really want to. Sunshine says, you can always come back later. But for now, go back to the real world, and we'll talk again soon. And I said, I love you. And Sunshine said, we all love you. And that was the end of the meditation. Yeah, right as Mr. Rogers was telling me about those things, my husband called me saying that it was time for breakfast. And I did not realize that it was 9 o'clock until he came in. I started at 7:10, I guess. 7:45. 7:45 it was it. Because I woke up at 7:10 and then I couldn't go back to sleep. And I laid in bed for a while and then I looked at the clock and it said 7:45. So I came in here and did 7:45 to 9 o'clock. So an hour and 15 minutes. And it just seemed to fly by. That was like no time had passed at all. It was very strange, but that is what happened. At any rate, we are going to get ready and go, and I'm going to close this down and load it up to YouTube so that you can watch it, and I wish you a wonderful day. It's sunny and bright here in Germany, and I'm hoping that the lighting is okay on this video because the sun is shining directly into the window, and that's why it's been so hard to read, so because the sun is like right on the page. So I wish you a wonderful day. Take care. And as always, namaste.